Hello and welcome, dear students, to our series of grammar in use. In this lesson, we are going to explore articles. You're requested to have a notepad and a pen ready to take down the pointers and construct the sentences as we go along. Let us dive into it. Now, articles are words which are used for making some noun specific or unspecific. There are two types of articles: definite article and the indefinite article. The definite article is the, which is used to make things specific, or it is used before specific objects, and the indefinite article are a and an. A and an both are used before common nouns or things which are general, or used before general objects. Now let us dive into it so that we have a better understanding. When this word definite is used, remember we are talking about the. When indefinite is used, we are going to talk about a and an. A is used before nouns beginning with consonant sounds, and an is used before nouns beginning with the vowel sounds. Now, I'm not talking about the letters, I'm talking about the sounds. If you get this idea clear, you will definitely not make any mistakes with the use of articles. In junior classes, definitely it is used to say that A is used before consonant letters, which is visible to the children, and is used before nouns beginning with the vowel letters, because the children can understand and see it. Whereas in senior classes, you need to understand that there are more than the vowel letters. There are 20 vowel sounds. So you need to understand that an is used before vowel word nouns beginning with vowel sounds. So let us dive into it and understand the articles. Articles are short words that come before nouns to show whether they refer to a general or a specific object. We have just spoken about it. The words make the noun either general or common or specific object. There are several rules telling us which article, if any, should be used. If any means in certain cases, articles are not used at all. We will see those kind of rules as well. The first pointer that we have is the indefinite article. Now, indefinite articles are a and an. The indefinite article a or an is used to talk about something in general. For example, I work in a library. Now, over here, library is spoken in general. A is used to talk about the type of place where somebody works, not a specific building. If you were to give a name over here, then you can change it. Otherwise, in general, you can say, I work in a library, or I work in an office. I work in an office. An is used instead of a before words that start with a vowel. Over here, it is pointed out because the vowel letter is used. So, an, but remember the vowel sound. The indefinite article is used to talk about a general thing among many of its types. The exact one is not yet known. That means if you want to use if without talking about anything specific, you want to talk about some general idea, you use an indefinite article a. We are trying to buy a house. That means right now the house is not determined which house you're going to buy. The indefinite article is also used to show a noun that belongs to a group or a class or a category. Canada is a very cold country. A very cold country means the group of countries or the kind of countries which are extremely cold. Countries categorize Canada as cold, describing it. Now let us see certain examples based on this indefinite articles. Dogs make a great family pet. Now it's a class of animals, so that is how is used. Do you want to come to an exhibition, a vowel sound, so an is used. The indefinite article is used in the same way for questions also. Here it's a question ending with a question mark. The indefinite article is used in the same way for negative statements. Negative means where not or the contraction not is used. Jim isn't an artist. An artist, why? Because a is a vowel letter, vowel sound. Is there a bank nearby? A bank. Bank is beginning with a consonant sound. So that is why a bank. Next pointer that we have is the use of some. Some replaces a or an in sentences with plural nouns. Now let us see the example and then we will analyze it. There is a hotel in the town. A hotel. Hotel is singular. Use of a or an to talk about one thing. So a is used because of the sound that is used. There are some hotels in the town. Now hotels in plural. We use some to talk about more than one thing. I hope this is understood. We replace a and an and add some when plurals are used. Now let us see certain examples. There are some banks on Main Street. There are some children in the park, where banks is in plural and children is also plural. You may construct sentences. Let us proceed. Some and any with questions and negatives. Now we have seen some, we will see any. Any is used with negative connotations. Some is used in affirmative. Some is replaced by any to form questions and negatives. There are some cafes in the town. Are there any cafes in the town? Any is used for question over here. There are some children in the park. There aren't, that means there are not any children. There aren't any children in the park. We bring in the word any because we replace some with any in a negative connotation where no is being considered, no children. So we say there aren't any children in the park. Let us see certain examples based on the rule that we have just seen. Are there any museums? Are there any museums? It's a question with any. There aren't any parks. This is negative. Are not apostrophized to a contraction aren't. There aren't because it's negative. We are using any. There aren't any parks. Are there any swimming pools? Are there any swimming pools is a question, so we use any before the nouns. There aren't, now this is a negative connotation, so we will bring in the word any. There aren't any factories. Pause the video at this time and construct a few sentences. Let us proceed. The definite article. The definite article the is used to talk about a specific person or thing that everyone understands. Now we have seen the use of a and an so far. Those were indefinite articles. Now we are talking about the definite article, that is the. The, when occurring in the dictionary, it is the. When it is used before consonants, it becomes the. So when it is placed before words beginning with the vowel sound, pronounce it as the. When it is placed before consonant nouns, pronounce it as the. The definite article the is used to talk about a specific person or thing that everyone understands. We went on a tour. Now the word tour is mentioned, and the guide was excellent. Over here, if I use the word the guide, I'm specifically talking about the tour guide. It is clear from the context that this means the tour guide. The next pointer that we have is that when a person or thing has been mentioned already, that means in a context, in a sentence, if you're talking about say John, in the first sentence you have mentioned John went to school, then you can mention or you can talk about school as the school was big. So we know that you're pointing out to the school where John had gone. Now let us understand this. When the person or thing has been mentioned already, the is used the next time the thing or the person is talked about. There is this a contraction. There is a bus trip or a lecture. Now there are two options given over here. There's a bus trip or a lecture. Now in this sentence, these two have been mentioned. Now in the coming sentence, when you have to mention I would or I would prefer the bus trip. Now why the is used? Because it has already been mentioned in the sentence earlier. The next pointer that we have is the definite article is used before superlatives. Superlatives means the degree of comparison. Positive, then we have comparative, and then we have superlative. For example, pretty, prettier, the prettiest, prettiest. So when we say prettiest, we say the prettiest. So with superlatives, it is definitely used. The Colosseum is probably the most famous site in Rome. The most famous, most is a superlative, so the is used. The definite article is also used with unique objects. The definite article is used with unique. Now, what is unique? A specific or one of its kind. Either it is by name specifically, that is how it makes it unique. I'm going to the Trevi Foundation before I leave. Now, there's only one Trevi Foundation, so you see the before it. It is also used for people with unique titles. Titles given to a person. Before the title, you may consider using the. The. The Pope is visiting another country this week. Over here, Pope is a title given to the person. So we use the. Now let us see certain examples. What is the biggest country in the world? What is the biggest country in the world? Over here, biggest is the superlative. That is why the is used. I never take the first train to work in the morning. Now, before ordinal numbers, first, second, third, fourth, we use the. So, make a note of it before ordinal numbers. I love this restaurant. The waiters are great. Over here, you are specifically pointing to the waiters. I went to Paris and climbed the Eiffel Tower. Specific name, so you are using the. Did you buy those shoes from the shoe shop or Broad Lane? Over here, it is mentioning to the specific shoe shop. The president will be speaking on TV tonight. Over here, president is the title, the designation, so the is used before it. You may pause the video and construct a few sentences. Let us proceed. The next pointer that we have is using the to specify. That using the to specify. Now for certain specifications, when you're using the to specify, certain additional phrases or prepositional phrases are used to give additional or proper meaning. Let us see. The can be followed by a prepositional phrase or a defining relative clause. Relative clauses means that which has who, that has which, that has whose, the words or the clauses beginning with those relative pronouns. Or it can be prepositional phrase like on the log, on the wall, in the room, etc. So the is used before the noun, the pictures, and it's a plural noun. The pictures. On the wall is a prepositional phrase. Prepositional phrase. The pictures specifically means those pictures which are on the wall are beautiful. This makes it clear which pictures are being referred. The next sentence that we have is the dog. Now, which dog? That I saw earlier. That I saw earlier is a relative clause. The clauses beginning with that, which, who, whose, these are relative pronouns. These relative clauses are used to make the dog specific. The dog, which dog that I saw earlier, was adorable. This makes it clear which dog is being talked about. Let us see certain examples based on the rule that I have just mentioned. The computers in this, which computers? In this office. So the computers in this office are all too slow. The next is the students. Which students? Whom are we talking about? The students in my classes. All right, the students in my classes are very intelligent and dedicated. The books. Which books? I'm talking about specific books. The books that I bought. So this gives a clear meaning. The books that I bought yesterday are of my son's birthday. Are for my son's birthday. The pastries. Which pastries? The pastries that they sell here are absolutely delicious. At this moment, requesting you to pause the video and construct a few sentences using either prepositional phrase or using relative clauses for specification. Let us proceed. The next pointer that we have is the with adjectives for certain groups. Now, some adjectives can be used with a definite article to refer to a group or class of people. Now, what kind of adjectives? Let us first see certain adjectives and then we will try changing it to a class of people and use the before it. Rich people. Now, people over here is the noun used and rich is the adjective. So, this phrase is an adjectival phrase where we have an adjective and a noun. Rich people have bought most of the houses in this town. So this sentence has an adjectival phrase with rich people. Now, if I want to mention this rich people as the class of people, specific group of people, how can I construct a sentence using or talking about the class of people who are rich? Let me see. Almost all the houses here are owned by the rich. Now, when I say the rich, I mean the class of people who have money, who are rich. Let us proceed. Let us see certain examples based on the rules that we have just seen. Adjectives. Emergency treatment for the injured. The injured over here represents the entire group of people or the class of people who have some kind of injury. The injured. Emergency treatment for the injured is essential. Many charities try to protect the poor. Now, there the poor is mentioned for all those people who classify as the group of people who are not who do not have the basic necessities. They are the poor, the class of people, the poor. So many charities try to protect the poor. The media sometimes portrays the young as lazy. Over here, the young represents the class of people. Now remember that we do not take S with it or do not consider the youngs. It is used in singular, but it represents the entire class of people who are young. These phrases are plural in meaning, so but it is incorrect to use S with S. The elderly often need the support of their families. The elderly means the people who are old. Do not say the elderlies. It is incorrect. The elderly represents all those people who are old. They need the support of their families. Then we have the zero article. Zero article is a place where the articles are not used. And these are mainly before uncountables. Let us see. An article is not needed with uncountables. Uncountable means the noun that cannot be counted. For example, rice, you cannot count rice. Sand, you cannot count sand. And plural nouns, because plural nouns are a group of things. For that, you do not need a specific article. You cannot make plurals with that specific article used in a general context. Now, when the plural nouns are used for certain specifications, in that case, you do not need an article before it. This is known as zero article. I don't like the beach. I get sand everywhere. You do not say the sand because you cannot count sand at all. So you say I get sand everywhere. So it's an uncountable noun. You can see famous sites. Famous sites, adjective, but noun is in plural all over the New York City. You do not say you can see the famous sites. Then it is grammatically wrong. Why? Because the cannot be used before the plural nouns which represents a general context. Next, we have the zero article is also used with some places and institutions when it is clear that what their purpose is. Liz is 7, she goes to school. Now, school means a place to study. So it is very clear what is the purpose of that place. So you don't have to use the at all. She goes there to study, which is the purpose of the school. So no article is used. So when we are aware of the purpose, no article is used. Larry works at the school. Now the over here is a specific school in the Park Street. The definite article is used to talk about the specific school where he works. I hope this makes the idea clear about zero article means no articles and specific articles. Now let us see certain examples that for the based on the rule that we have just seen. Coffee is one of Colombia's major exports. You don't say the coffee because over here coffee represents the, or coffee is used as we have mentioned in the rule as uncountable. Uncountable. Kangaroos are common in Australia. I am studying engineering in college. You don't say the college because you know the purpose of the college is to study. So in college, Liz goes to school at a am. Now Liz goes to school. School, it is very clear the place to study. But if you're talking about the music school, she goes to the music school at that particular time because you're talking about certain specific school. In general, when you're talking, let us go back to the rule and see when you are talking about something that is used in general context. In that case, no article is used. In the UK, children start school when they are 5 years old. I've got so many books. Paris is the capital of France. Name the places often take the zero article, that means no article. Go to bed, Tom. When it is understood that it is about bed is a place to sleep, you don't say go to the bed. When if you are pointing out to something that is kept near the bed, you will say go to that bed or go to the bed or go to that. In that case, it is specific. But over here, it is understood. Go to bed means the place where you go to sleep. So go to bed, Tom. At this moment, kindly pause the video and construct sentences. Let us proceed. The zero article and generic the. The zero article can be used with plural nouns to talk about a class of things in general. A class of things, a group of things which are in general. The zero article can be used with plural nouns. Alright, so it is a possibility where you're talking about the class of things in general, making it general. This can also be done with a definite article plus a singular noun. So you can use it with singular noun and you can use it with plurals with the. Telescopes change the way we see the night sky. It just means an invention changed. Okay, so referring to an invention, not an individual telescope. Or you can see the telescopes change the way we see the night sky. So in this case, both are correct. Cheetahs, referring to the species of animal, not an individual animal. Cheetahs can run very fast than any other land animal. That means the whole class of animal, cheetahs, classifies as cheetah. Or you can say the cheetahs can run very fast than any other land animal. Now, if we talk about certain instruments, instruments referring to the type of musical instrument, not an individual instrument. So the type is the percussions over here. Violins are often the key instrument in an orchestra, or the violin is often the key instrument in. The is why? Because it's a class of, you're using in singular. Over here, violins, again you're using it for the entire class or the entire instrument, class of instruments. So you're using in plural. When you're using in singular, you use is before it, and both are correct. The last pointer that we have in today's lesson is definite and indefinite articles with the names. The zero article or no article is normally used with the names of a person. This is my uncle, Neil Armstrong. The definite article is used before a person's name to differentiate them from another person with the same name. He is not the Neil Armstrong, is he? The is used for the specific cases. In this case, the is used. Why specific? because he isn't the famous person with that name, is he? So the, that means famous person. The indefinite article is used when the focus is on a particular name rather than the person. I'm afraid there isn't a Joseph Blogs on the list. That means there isn't any person by that name. The particular name given is not on the list. With this, we have come to the end of this lesson on articles. Requesting you to practice articles. If you like the video, click on like, share and subscribe. Thank you very much for your kind attention.